let me go to this. Go to our snapshot. All right, so this episode's Disgruntled Gamer Rant is the tariff overreaction.
Oh, man, yeah.
So as everyone's aware, China has a 125% or something like that?
Yeah, it keeps going.
Tariff?
I don't know what it's
I
up
know
to now.
we countered with a 125% too. Or 140%, I think. I can't remember. Anyway,
It doesn't matter. It changes day to day.
It's in the range, right?
It'll be 200% next week.
Yeah. And, before that, Trump also threw all those tariffs big time. Like, he increased almost every country's tariff to try to get some type of deal. Eventually, he did get word from other countries, and he decided to flatline that to just 10% across the board for some countries, not all, and then raise China's. I guess he's trying to get more manufacturing jobs back here and kind of hold China. I would say more put the spotlight on China due to the fact of all their currency manipulation, their unfair trading ever since entering the World Trade Organization, and all that stuff. All right, so he's trying to kind of put China on the spotlight right here, and either get a deal with them or push more manufacturing jobs back in the U.S. and maybe get more companies doing deals in the future with other companies out of different countries to build plants back in the United States. And it will force more, I would say, warehouses and other stuff to try to get built. I think that's the plan. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm not an economist. I'm not going to sit here and say I know anything much about it because I really don't. But I that's kind of what I understand it currently. But anyway, so over these tariffs, which majority, 99% of people that you see on Twitter that talk about this stuff either have Googled or pretend like they know about the economy and macroeconomics when they really don't. So they'll try to sound smart on social media just because of their hate for President Trump, which you see consistently.
Oh, yeah.
And for some reason, I guess the inflation just didn't matter these past 4 years. They didn't hold the last president accountable. Funny how that works, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because he's from a certain political party, even though he's pretty much a skeleton of a president. So they didn't hold him accountable. But for some reason, when Trump, the stock market takes a dip, it's all hell's about to break loose, right? Everything's we're about to go into the greatest recession we ever had. We just kind of went through that, including a huge inflation boost after the election of Biden. So the question is, Grant, tariff overreaction. Do you think people are overreacting to the tariffs?
Yeah.
Online.
I think so, because I think before any of it takes effect, it's all going to get worked out.
We've been through this before.
Yeah. China's going to come to the table. Because here's the thing is what they don't understand is they're raising prices on their own people, and their own people are only going to take so much. I mean, there are already a lot of them, or majority of them are poor. I mean, it's just statistics, If they raise taxes on, if we raise tariffs on them and then they raise tariffs on us, well, they're raising tariffs on their own people for our products that come in. Well, they already can't afford them because they're already high to begin with.
Well, the thing about this is the biggest thing about this is, as everyone's aware, this isn't like something that I'm pulling out of my ass, but common sense that everyone should know that the American consumer is really what makes the world's economy go round and round.
It's true,
and including and big time on China's part. All right, when we buy Chinese, I would say items and stuff like that. Because a lot of things are, of course, made in China, including parts for your laptop, car parts, and all types of stuff.
Yeah, because what they don't understand is yes, they could sell to other countries, but the other countries don't have as many people who are going to be willing to accept everything. You know what I mean? Like, there's not enough people to make up for the amount of people that we have.
Yeah, and I think there's a statistic that's out there that's like America is like. Well, the American economy is like almost 30% of the world's economy.
Yeah.
Ourselves. A number around there, right? And with the long period, even before China enter the World Trade Organization for so long. Well, actually, when they entered back in early 2000 or in 2000, you had all leaders, including Chuck Schumer and a lot of Democrat leaders back then, calling for the accountability or calling China out. Right? They were trying to hold China accountable for the unfair trade practices. This was actually a common thing for many people on both sides. It was like, China's being unfair, but something happened. I would say in the last, the last 20 years is no one's really talking about the unfair trade practices and currency manipulation. Besides, of course, some people, like the current president, that they've done since entering the World Trade Organization. Not many people talk about it. Not even hardly any Democrats talk about it. College educated people don't talk about it. I see a lot of economists on the news, hardly ever talking about it either. So I'm just like, why? And then I look back, if you do some studies on the influence of China over the last few years, especially the amount of money they spent inside colleges, United States campuses or universities and stuff like that. They've thrown a lot of money in the United States, but they've thrown a lot of money around in our institutions that are part of the development of our citizens, right? Mm-hmm. I'm just like, this isn't a conspiracy theory. You can fucking Google it. So I kind of come to the conclusion, like, well, what have they done with politics?
Yeah.
Bitcoin came around. I was like, well, Bitcoin's kind of hard to trace. I mean, it's traceable because it depend on the wallet transaction. You can see large amount of Bitcoin being transferred and stuff like that, but you can't see increment. You don't pay attention to increments, like small Bitcoin transactions, really.
Yeah.
You can see them if you go to what's that? You can see the transactions. Every
Coinbase, all that stuff.
Yeah, and you can see wallet addresses. You can see the wallet of where it's coming in and out of from. All those little tiny transactions. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking of, like, if China wanted to really disrupt us, why wouldn't they go after our politicians and corrupt them?
Well, if they really want to disrupt us, they could just sell all their bonds that they have, and that would really fuck up our economy. But they know that they don't want to do that.
Amount of land China owns, farmland, that they own in the United States. Like, how did that happen? So the CCP owns that land.
Yeah, and what's crazy is they're like, oh, well, they could just sell the bonds. They're not going to do that.
And how did we end up, having some of these military items become Chinese so we have some military gear that's manufactured in China also. Yeah. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
And I'm thinking, like, how I'm thinking, like, basic level fucking security here as a as a Marine.
Mm-hmm.
Why would our politicians allow that to happen?
Correct.
And why would they be against holding China accountable or not speaking up on it and agreeing with Trump on certain things? They can argue the tariffs all they want to, but holding China accountable with the currency manipulation, the unfair trade practices, ever since entering the World Trade Organization. And why would China not really give a shit about ESG and clean energy and, like, employee benefits and, like, their workforce, and care about, the World Health Organization, all that crap, even though they invest a lot of money into it, but there's a reason why they do. They don't care about it, but they spend a lot of money in other countries, like, pushing it.
Yeah.
So why would they do that? Well, the reason is because they want to make it almost next to impossible or really hard to open up, I guess, manufacturing in your country, especially in the United States, as of, a year ago. Mm-hmm. Putting all that money into making it harder and harder, even maybe giving money to politicians and making it harder for people to do manufacturing in the United States.
If you think these politicians' pockets aren't being greased, you're insane.
It's not a conspiracy. I mean,
no, that's not.
It's so obvious.
If you dig hard enough, you're going to find it.
But you see it. You see you see it. Like, there's no reason that there is absolutely no reason why our politicians should not be talking about China right now.
Well, you can also tell who's doing what by the way that they vote. Things that they should vote for, they vote against, or vice versa. You know,
Like, this should be the number one issue right now in the United States.
mm-hmm.
It's China, the CCP. I mean, this is the number one issue, but there's only certain people talking about it. And when I see that, I'm very concerned. You think, that they aren't pushing money into local politics, voting?
Oh yeah, dude.
I guarantee 100% they are.
Yep.
And we already obviously know they're going after our universities, our teaching, pushing this socialism that these fucking professors love. Let me get something straight. Foreign-born governments are bad.
Oh yeah.
There's a reason why America rose so quickly. And that's because we're a constitutional republic. We're the first of its kind. We're the first country to be that. And that leads to innovation, that leads to freedom of thought. It opens up the freedom of the individual, right? And China doesn't have that. Hence why they have to steal all of our shit and reverse engineer it. I mean, they steal almost everything, and they reverse engineer it, and they still do today.
Would you say it's revolutionary?
Revolutionary. Oh yeah. Where do you get that word from?
I've heard it a lot today. Okay. Trust me.
But anyway, so you have China, and then you talk about these European leaders. They're not fucking on board with this either. So I'm like, man, what's fucking going on here? And then you have the World Trade Organization trying to pump money into that, or not the World Trade, but the World Health Organization. China pretty much puts a lot of money into that fucking place and or organization. And then but it's just like, it has to stop. We have to hold them accountable. We need these. I mean, listen, I like free trade, all that bullshit. I like it, but China doesn't believe in free trade. All right, they're not a free economy. They aren't. They're they're far from it. And every time I see these motherfuckers post a thing like, look at this technology in China where you can take your palm and pay for stuff, I'm like, all right, first off, they own their citizens.
Oh yeah.
They own you with that type of technology. Like your bioscan in a fucking convenience store to pay for something, they fucking own you.
Oh yeah.
And of course, they got the social credit craps too. That's another fucking thing. But the free will is not something China pushes. So I think everyone should agree with that. That's a bad thing. And I know 𝐿𝐶𝐫 went over to China. Oh, fucking wow! Look at China. You know, I mean, listen, I think 𝐿𝐶𝐫's fucking awesome, but
yeah.
China right now is not our friend. They are not. They do not want to be our friend. They want to take over the world. They've already been taking over a lot of ports. And people, that's another thing. Some people, Google it. I mean, they fucking run so many ports. They put so many countries in debt. Oh, I mean, they're fucking loan sharks, pretty much.
Yeah.
They run all these contracting. They head the contracting inside, like a lot of places in Africa. Like even Djibouti, they built a new naval base there, or right near us, next to our base in Djibouti. But they, it's just predatory loans and treating other countries, again, like they're subpar. I mean, economically they are, but treating people that you think many people like they're beneath yous. I mean, this is the way some of them think, and that's definitely the way the CCP thinks. So right now, China's not our friend. So the overreaction in tariffs, I would say, where's the reaction to what China is doing right now to the world economy?
It just shows that they don't understand any of it. They're just repeating what the news tells them to repeat.
Tariffs, the tariff on China is not the worst thing right now that's going on.
No, shit, no.
What's the word? Subterfuge, or the shadow tactics of what China's doing behind the scenes, and in all aspects of, I would say, economic and, you know, in our education in our organizations. And that's when you come to think of like all Elon's stuff he's been doing. Like when it, I know you fucking Elon, want to go fucking light a Tesla on fire, scratch it up. You're doing that because someone told you that Elon is Hitler. And it's not your free thought. You're doing it because someone fucking told you to. And you really think he's Hitler. So you've been brainwashed and you're a fucking sheep if you think that. But anyway, so over $150 billion they've noticed with like fraud and everything like that on like, people, like Social Security going to like people that are like fucking basically dead. And even Social Security, or I think it was Social Security or something, going to like young kids. Like it was just so much fraud that's going on. And then you think of like, where was that money really going?
That's true.
Was that going to fund? Why are the Democrats so fucking mad that we're trying to find fraud, waste, and abuse in the federal government? Why would you be mad over that? But what they've done is portrayed Elon as Hitler. The media has too, for a reason, because they want people to try to be on their side on this to show that Elon is Hitler.
Yeah, because that's all they got. That's because the
And
news tells them to say that.
and they don't want to talk about all the fraud they've been finding. That'd be good. You want to find that stuff in irregular transactions, where this money is going. You want to stop that, right?
Yeah.
Because we can use that money on our economy, maybe give some back to, the states, or give it back to the citizens, or do something with it. So why would that not be a bad thing? What I think is a lot of that money's been getting, we already know it's been getting fed into certain organizations to fund a lot of the shit that you see that's going around the United States right now. A lot of these nonprofits, a lot of these organizations that really have just are left arms of the Democratic Party. I really think that. And I think we're going to find out something here soonish on that.
Yeah. I think they're going to come to the
makes
table.
Sense. Like some of these organizations, like where are they getting all these billions of fucking dollars? Like where? It's not people. Some of it's people donating, but like some of these fucking places are getting billions of fucking dollars out of nowhere, and they're able to fund all these fucking, I would say, pre-planned protests. You see these people, these fucking signs and shit like that, and you see you see people get bussed in for this shit.
Yeah.
So something's going on. And then there's a report coming on how people are actually getting paid to protest. Some people are. And so to me, it's like, is this end of story? Tariff overreaction? Don't even worry about it. Right? People forget until COVID hit, Trump's economy was fucking a freight train.
Oh, yeah.
People forget that. It was a freight train. And if COVID never happened, no telling how far it would have gone.
Yeah.
That last year he was in office.
The prepared already said
people
China
forget
can't
about
afford
that.
to not negotiate. He's right.
Yeah. And then people forget that when COVID hit, fucking states were shutting down businesses and shit like that. Small businesses took a tremendous hit during COVID.
I did.
Some never recovered.
Yeah.
They just closed down, never recovered. But people forget, like, he had one of the strongest economies we've had in a very long time during his first term. So why do you not think it's going to happen again?
That's right.
You hate Trump? That's all you got because someone told you on either CNN or your fucking podcast to hate him.
Yeah.
You didn't come up with that with yourself. Someone told you to do that.
Correct.
So how about you use some free will, free thought, and come up with your own opinion based off actions, based off what's going on and what will happen these next few years.
Yep.
So I think the tariffs are not a big deal right now.